A nuclear-powered electrical plant can produce a lot of electricity with a very small amount of fuel. Nuclear power plants generate electricity by using fission to generate heat, and that heat can then be used to boil water and create steam. That steam can turn a turbine, which can on a generator, which can produce electricity. So nuclear power is actually hugely important for energy production. It uses a very small amount of fuel, and it produces almost no waste, especially not any emissions into the atmosphere. The fission reactor reaction occurs in the nuclear core of the power plant, right here, and the water carrying heat from the reactor core is contained within separate pipes, and it doesn't come into direct contact with the steam that drives the turbines. So what happens is there's just water circulating through here that gets irradiated. It gets very hot, and it circles through here. It goes to another tank full of water where it generates steam. That steam turns the turbine, and that water gets pumped back through. So it's basically a closed system. Anything being released into the atmosphere is water vapor, and it's simply it's clean. There's nothing in it. There's no carbon dioxide emissions or anything like that. The core of a nuclear reactor is going to consist of enriched 3.5% uranium-235 uranium fuel rods that are interspersed with retractable neutron-absorbing control rods. When the control rods are fully retracted from the fuel rod assembly, the chain reaction can propagate itself. When the control rods are fully inserted into the fuel assembly, they absorb all the excess neutrons that would otherwise induce fission, and it shuts down the entire chain reaction. In spite of safety precautions, the fission reaction occurring in a nuclear power plant can overheat. This type of accident occurred in Chernobyl in the former Soviet Union on April 26, 1986. Operators were performing an experiment designed to reduce maintenance costs. In order to perform the experiment, many of the safety features of the reactor core were disabled. The experiment failed, which led to disastrous results. The nuclear core, composed partly of graphite, overheated and began to burn. The accident caused 31 deaths directly and produced a fire that scattered radioactive debris into the atmosphere, making the surrounding countryside uninhabitable. The overall death toll from subsequent cancers is undetermined at this time. Reactor cores in the United States are not made of graphite, and they could not burn in the way that the Chernobyl core did. Another accident that occurred at the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant in Japan in March of 2011. A 9.0 magnitude earthquake triggered a tsunami that flooded the coastal plain and caused the plant's cooling system pumps to fail. Several of the nuclear cores within the plant overheated, and at least one of the cores experienced a partial meltdown in which the fuel gets so hot that it melts. The accident was intensified by the loss of water in the fuel storage cooling ponds, which caused the fuel stored in the ponds to also overheat. The release of radiation into the environment, while significant, was significantly lower in Japan than it was at Chernobyl. But even several years after the accident, no radioactive deaths have been reported at the Fukushima plant or the surrounding area. The cleanup site, however, will continue for many years. The U.S. nuclear power plants have additional safety features designed to prevent similar accidents. So, for example, the U.S. nuclear power plants have large containment structures designed to contain radioactive debris in the event of an accident. The amount of nuclear fuel used in electricity generation is very small compared to that of other fuels. However, the products of the reaction are radioactive and have extremely long half-lives, thousands of years or even more than that. So currently, the main problem with the nuclear power generation is the waste disposal. In the United States, nuclear waste is stored on site at the nuclear power plants. So there's not a lot of it, but it is permanent, at least for this foreseeable future. So that is one of the huge downsides to the nuclear power generation. And that's it for nuclear power via fission. We are going to talk about fusion next.